Hello.
Good, well, to get her recorded. So, okay, beautiful. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for everybody for being here. I have a couple points to make on top, and then I'll turn it over to our Lieutenant Governor before we open up for questions. I just had a good meeting with the Lieutenant Governor and our DOA Director about vaccines, and in particular into our hospital network, and we'll have more to say that when you're asking your questions. But so a few months ago, I stood at the podium and I said that we would have music in Newport this summer, and we did, and it was safe and very successful in many ways. Well, a month ago, we were proud to announce that we would have a water fire in Providence, and this Saturday marks Water Fire's return to our capital city. And I'm so pleased that the theme of this weekend's Water Fire is a salute to the first responders and the frontline workers. I don't want to share too many details of what we have planned for the lighting, but I will share that the night will start with a torch lighting procession, and our office has invited each municipality to have a representative from their city or town to represent them as a torchbearer. We will also have torchbearers that represent some of our key industries and partnerships like the Hospitality Association, the Small Business Coalition, representatives from the General Assembly, Commerce, and the Department of Health. We're excited for Saturday and hope Rhode Islanders will come out and celebrate and give thanks to our frontline workers and first responders who continue to go above and beyond to protect ourselves and our families. Now, we're expecting a large turnout this Saturday, and we know that the Delta variant is still among us. So a couple things I want Rhode Islanders to know and what to expect. The state will be having a pop-up vaccination clinic and COVID-19 testing clinic at Water Fire this weekend. So if you want to get tested or get vaccinated, you'll have the opportunity at Water Fire. Also, Water Fire is recommending that since there will be large groups of people downtown, that folks wear masks and try to keep safe distance. A couple of announcements on the housing front on the Rent Relief Rhode Island program. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that I had spoken to the White House sharing concerns regarding Treasury guidance and how states could use the federal dollars to help renters and landlords affected by COVID-19. This is not a problem unique to Rhode Island. States across the country are having a difficult time getting these critical dollars out to those that need the assistance. And we made that very clear in our call with the White House a few weeks back and asked them for certain restrictions to be lifted and guidelines to be relaxed. This week, U.S. Treasury updated their guidance, providing states additional flexibility when it comes to these dollars. I want to thank the Biden administration for listening to us here in Rhode Island and taking us up on some of our thoughts. I've instructed Rhode Island Housing to make a series of changes that we can anticipate will speed up the process of applications and the money getting out the door into the hands of Rhode Islanders that need it. Some of these changes include streamlining applications and forms and reliance on on the information that they need to provide in order to qualify. Approving applications that are missing just small pieces of information and working to gather that information after the assistance has been awarded. Not unlike when we were helping the small businesses with their applications, and we had done numbers and a lot of process that we worked through when I took office in March. This is the same case, and that's why we've advocated with the State House, with the White House, to change their guidance through the Treasury Department. Where a W-9 is not signed or by a landlord or Rhode Island Housing, we'll work with them after approval to obtain a correction copy. We need to get money into people's hands, and if we're not going to break any rules, but we're going to bend the rules as much as we need to make sure that we get that $200 million of relief rent relief to the people in the state of Rhode Island. Every dollar that comes into our state, regardless if it was unemployment, which we kept people on unemployment, then we brought in an additional $350 million of unemployment dollars by not following the lead of other states who are taking that benefit away. Same thing is true here. We need that money in our communities in order for us to recover in the economy. So this process will allow the process to work quicker and not be held up because of the box checking exercise. We believe that these steps will allow the application process to work better for renters and landlords that need this assistance and will move more people through the process. Additionally, it is disappointing that the Supreme Court has struck down the President's eviction moratorium. While we continue to speak with our partners in the General Assembly on steps the state can take regarding potential eviction moratorium, I want the people of Rhode Island to know that Rent Relief Rhode Island has partner agencies stationed in the various courthouses on days when eviction hearings are being held in district court. I want to repeat that. I want Rhode Islanders to know that Rent Relief RI has a partner agency stationed in various courthouses on the days when eviction hearings are being held in district court. Tenants and landlords are able to check the status of their applications, provide additional information to their application so it can be completed and reviewed. And for those who haven't applied, they can apply before they go into that hearing. There's no one in the state of Rhode Island that has a need that should be evicted from any apartment that they're currently renting based on the ability that the state has to provide those federal dollars to the individuals that need the help. Additionally, the Center of Justice and Rhode Island Legal Service are able to represent applicants in court and in mediation efforts with their landlords. We know that tenants experience better outcomes in court when they are represented by legal counsel. The district court has been a great partner in this effort, and we are all working to try to prevent evictions for non-payment by getting as many people as possible assisted with rent relief dollars. Again, we started with $200 million. Last count I heard was we were down maybe 13 million, 14 million, but we have a great deal of dollars that need to get distributed over the next year. But we have a certain amount of money we have to get out right now. The bottom line is, with all this federal money, no eligible Rhode Islander should be evicted for non-payment of rent. To learn more about the program, you can call 1-855-608-8756. 1-855-608-8756. And I would also add, no eligible Rhode Islander should be evicted for non-payment of rent. And with the landlords, no landlord should actually be short on a rent payment. Is working with us and the Rhode Island Housing to make sure that this money is allocated and to them, both in the rears and in advance on rent that could be due by one of the tenants. To learn more about the program, again, 1-855-608-8756 or visit www.rentreliefri.com. That's www.rentreliefri.com. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Before I begin, I would like to express on behalf of the Governor and myself our sympathies to the family of the military families who lost loved one in Afghanistan, and especially in our neighbor state in Massachusetts, Sergeant Johanny Rosario from Lawrence, Massachusetts. Our deepest condolences to her family and to all the Gold Star families. We're keeping them in our thoughts and in our heart. This morning, today, I was able to reconvene the Office of Small Business Advocacy Council. We had a great discussion this morning about the need for support for the small business owners, the issues that they're facing, the owners of the small business in the state of Rhode Island. I want to thank Secretary Pryor for joining me in that meeting this morning, as well as Director Matt Weldon that was there present, and to all the participants that were participating in person and online. Thank you for participating. This morning, Director Matt Weldon reminds everyone that there's going to be 40,000 Rhode Islanders that are going to come off unemployment. It's coming to an end. They filled out help. So we're expecting that the supplemental unemployment is going to end this weekend, as 40,000 Rhode Islanders are going to be off unemployment. He has been telling us every opportunity he has when he participates in the a small business town council that we do every week, every Tuesday. He's been reminding everyone that it's time to get back to work, and the department, the DLT, is ready to assist those Rhode Islanders that are looking for a job and would like to get back to work. Make sure to visit the dlt.ri.gov, and you're going to get information there. We just had, not too long ago, today, we had our small business town hall via Facebook Live. We had great conversation. We heard from the Department of Health that we're providing information to the small business community about steps that you can take, protocols you can put in place in your business to make sure that your employees are safe and also your customers are safe. We had a great discussion and also had the opportunity to hear from the directors from some of the performing arts institution here in the state of Rhode Island. We hear from the Woodbury Theater, the PPAC, the Providence Performing Arts Center, and from the United from Westerly about the steps that they're taking to make sure that their employees and their customer are safe. They have implemented protocols of masks and also proof of vaccination or a proof of a negative COVID test. This is just a good example of what businesses can do in order to ensure that we're doing our part. We can be proactive. We, as the governor said, we had music in Newport this year. We had music this weekend. I went to the folk festival in East Providence. I also participated in the Puerto Rican festival here in Indian Point Park. We're so glad that we're able to enjoy live music and get together with our friends and family, but we don't want to go back. And the only way how we're going to stop that from going back is if we take these steps that are, all of them are within our control. So let's be proactive about that. We have to remind everyone also that the vaccine, it was approved already. The FDA approved the Pfizer vaccine. If you were hesitant about getting the vaccine, it has been approved already. Please reach out to us. You can reach out directly to the Department of Health or my office, and we can put you in contact with the Department of Health and also with the National Guard to make sure that we can bring vaccination clinic to your businesses or any gathering that you're gonna have that you're expecting to have a group, big group of individuals. We can set up a vaccination clinic there, so please reach out to us. We have to remind you also, as the governor said, about the rent relief, all right, that funds is available. And also, just a reminder, there's funding for rent, but it's also there's funding to pay utility bills. So if you need assistance paying the utility bills also, reach out to the rent relief. If you have any issues getting in contact with them, you can always contact my office and we can put you in contact with them. And don't forget that there is also assistance available. This is a different program for you to pay for your internet connection up to $50. That's another program that is available out there, and we can give you that information. This Saturday, I'm gonna be joining Water Fire. Thank you, Governor. I'm gonna be joining Water Fire, so looking forward to having that opportunity to join everyone and celebrate Water Fire back in Providence here in Rhode Island. We're gonna be having our next housing, the housing Lunch and Learn series. The next one is gonna be September 15th. Put that in your notes because we wanna hear from you. And before I turn it back to the governor for questions, I just want to remind everyone that my office continued to work with the Gold Star families. They're working to build a memorial at the Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Exeter. We need your support. The Gold Star family, they have sacrificed everything for our country, and it's only the least we can do is to help them build this memorial so they can go there and think about their loved one and honor the loved one at the Exeter Cemetery. If you go to the Lieutenant Governor website, you're gonna have a link. If you go under military initiative, we have information in there. They need donations to make this a reality. So please reach out to them directly or reach out to us because that's the least we can do for everything they have done for us. So with that, I'm gonna turn it back to the governor.
All right, gonna start with some questions. Brian?
Governor, I know you had addressed it yesterday with the situation with Tony Silva. You have Mr. Afonso taking over, and I know some has been made of his connection to 38 Studios and his work there and having to settle with the state. What do you have to say about that, and maybe not the best circumstances?
I just go to the public record. It's very, very defined there in the public record to that issue, and thank God we've had somebody like Tony on board helping us with the teacher contract and multiple other things right now. So that's all I can say. Go to the public record. You're not going to find anything that says that there was anything that he did wrong. So go ahead. Go to the public record.
Thank you. Pat?
Governor Michael Bigney is the president of the board of directors for the Rhode Island Partnership for Home Care, administrators of home health and house care, nursing placement. He says that while home care administrators are supportive of patients, clients, and employees getting vaccinated, it should remain a decision between an individual patient and their physician. Healthcare providers have been demonstrating for days. They've claimed they've reached out to your office to have a conversation. Again, the state appears to be playing chicken with home healthcare providers, who, by the way, were largely allowed to work PPE-free during the most brutal days of the vaccination. Their contention is that they're going from hero to zero and that they're being unfairly threatened with the loss of their licenses. Is the state engaged in a game of chicken that they could possibly lose, and will patients suffer?
So the answer is the same one I gave last week. Healthcare workers are keeping people healthy, and they need to be healthy to do that. The biggest loss of life and infection came from age groups that the healthcare workers are working with and the individuals. So we're not, we certainly, I've been in conversation this week with Care New England, with Lifespan and others, and that's going to help them keep their people in the hospital safe. They're still very strongly, working on vaccinations. And then, surprisingly, the reports that have been out, at least we're finding in terms of our own healthcare workers, they're a lot more vaccinated than even what was publicized. So it was talked that was maybe under 50%. We're seeing that right now it's over 70%. We'll work with all the individuals that work with the state, that are under the management of the state, to get as many of those vaccinated as possible. And no, we're not. What would you say? We're playing chicken with?
Yeah, that's the opinion of many. That there's a stare down taking place between people who are convinced that they should be allowed to maintain their own body autonomy, and a state who is willing to take away their license, not just their jobs, but a significant contention is that the willingness of the state to remove their license to practice elsewhere where you don't have a current vaccination mandate. Is that arbitrary and capricious?
Yeah, so all I'm saying is that we're going to work to get everybody vaccinated. I think that will happen. I only give you an example of what we did with the schools, right? I sat in front of everybody here for weeks and weeks and asked me to do a mandate across the board for schools. We ended up with virtually every district in the state of Rhode Island that put in that mask protocol. Same thing's going to happen here. People are going to get vaccinated. The people in the healthcare, they have pride in the work they do. They know that the safer they are, the safer the people that they're serving are.
Good afternoon, Governor. I just have two questions for you. The first one, and I want to be very clear, I'm not intimating or inferring in any way that you did anything wrong, but based on the reporting that we've had, it would seem that you spoke with DM, you spoke with your former chief, Tony Silva, and also the mayor of Cumberland, so that would make you seemingly an important witness in this investigation. Do the people of Rhode Island, should they expect to know if you've met with the state police and the Attorney General's office yet, and if that hasn't happened, should they expect as their governor that you will let them know when you officially sit with investigators?
So we made it known to the Attorney General's office that all our personnel, all our departments are going to cooperate, and that wouldn't exempt me as the governor from doing that. So if I'm called for any reason, I will go and willingly. So I have no problem. In fact, unless I'm instructed not to let the public know for some reason based on the work that's being done by the state police or the Attorney General's office, I have no problem telling people what I'm doing.
And just a quick follow-up. You're the governor, but you're also entitled to be treated fairly. This is a matter of investigation. Under normal circumstances, someone might retain legal counsel. Have you tapped into your own legal counsel? Would you go outside for something like that? What can you tell the people?
Well, I don't have any legal counsel on this. There's no need for that in terms of me personally. If I need to get direction from our office on anything procedurally to make sure that I do it correctly in terms of the process, I will. But there's no need for me to have legal counsel personally.
Kathy?
Governor, I'd like to follow up on some questions that have been asked. Number one, on Tony Silva, did you ask him specifically what the income from the unregistered, non-operational construction company was, and did he tell you?
So on that issue, I made my statement yesterday. There's no real new news to report today over and above that. So I'll just leave it at that. My statement was that we met, we came to an agreeable position in terms of what was in the best interest of the state. It doesn't stop any of the current investigations that are going on. And so what surfaces out of the investigation, that'll play itself out.
Well, one follow-up to that one, are you concerned about that? Was that a point of concern to you? And one of the things that got you to the point that you felt he had to leave the administration?
I was really clear on the statement that I made, and I helped write the statement in terms of the disruption. We can't have this disruption in a time when we're going through a health crisis, an economic crisis, and an education crisis. So that's the reason why. So I don't really have anything more to add to that to know what the statement was. I think that in this current scenario, exactly what I said. Chief Silva was the chief of police, and he was a person that has been involved in emergency management. He's ran police academies. We'll let the investigation determine in terms of how deep it goes. I've answered that question before in terms of my conversations with our office's conversations with DEM. I don't think that anything that happened at DEM is going to really prove to be something that is of the criminal nature. And I would hope not, because I don't want anybody at DEM to actually be in the process in the middle of the crosshairs either, because if something happened, it takes two to tango, right? So my feeling is that I'm obviously concerned about the disruption in the office. It took, I've caught my breath. I'm ready to go. We hit the ground running today, meeting in, all around the state. So the people in Cumberland, people in Rhode Island, what they need to know is that there's no longer any disruption in our office. There's no longer disruption in the administration. We're working every day on behalf of the people in the state of Rhode Island relative to keeping them safe, getting the kids back to school safely, and making sure our economy continues to lead the country in terms of the recovery.
I'd like to follow up and close a loop from another earlier question. On the home care workers, they're asking specifically for an exemption. Are you willing to give them an exemption? And corollary to that is, are you considering or any closer to doing what Governor Baker has done in mandating vaccines for state employees?
So the second part of it, we are continually in conversation with our labor unions about a vaccine protocol, and those conversations continue in a positive way. So I would expect something to come out in some form of a vaccine protocol in a short period of time. As far as the issues with the healthcare workers, I'm just going to repeat, healthcare workers are there to keep people healthy. And they need to be healthy, especially when we haven't even talked about the booster shots today, but they're coming. And people, including our teachers, we're going to make sure that the teachers are priority on the booster shots. We're not going to lose any ground in that space relative to what we did in the spring by making teachers a priority and the child care workers a priority, and we have over 90% that are vaccinated right now. We need to make sure that the people, as booster shots come up, this is a big part of about the decision making, not only from the hospitals, the nursing homes that we met with that agreed with this policy before we enacted the policy in terms of a vaccine protocol for healthcare workers. Booster shots are coming, and the people who are working with the most vulnerable people that need to transition into the booster shot, they need to be as healthy as we possibly can have. You just look at the data. I've looked at the data over and over and over again. The large majority of the people who died in the state of Rhode Island have been over 80 years old, over 65 years old. So people who are working with them in a healthcare setting, I would say that once they see the FDA approvals, which are coming out, which have happened, that more and more people are going to get vaccinated. And then we'll worry about the people who are somehow caught in the crosshairs in terms of because of what they believe. But at this point in time, we're not moving off of that, and we're in lockstep with our hospitals right now. And I've talked to, like I said, both Lifespan and New England Healthcare in the last 48 hours or so.
Governor, just to be clear on the point you were making about Mr. Alfonso, to follow up on Brian's question, you mentioned the public record. Wouldn't the public record show a multi-million-dollar settlement that is law firm paid in regards to 38
Yeah, that's an insurance company, right, that paid that. Go to the public record and take a look at what might be there with Tony Alfonso. I don't think you're going to find anything.
Did it give you any pause to appoint him knowing 38 Stewards was bound to come up?
No, and I knew it was going to come up, and it did already come up, and this is old news that has come up already before this. I mean, it's been resurfaced because of what's happened over the last few weeks, but go to the public record.
And just to follow up on last week's announcement regarding the Afghan refugees, do you have any more information about how many, where they might go, what services might be available once they get here?
We have no details on that. We've made, as I said, we sent a letter to the president. And I'll repeat that we want to help. We'll do our part, but no more than our part. And we're looking for all the states in the country to step up on that issue.
Steve?
Governor, on Kennedy Plaza, months ago you promised that you were going to be robust public engagement, and so far there's been none with DEM. DEM has made no moves, no schedules, hasn't reached out to any advocates in the transportation. And I'm wondering, you had made this promise that there was going to be this before we proceeded, so where are we at?
I think something's coming up very shortly. We're meeting with DOT to kind of learn a little bit about what their presentation is. We had a meeting with I think it's the Providence Partnership, I believe, that has an interest in it as well yesterday. I've met with the advocates that represent the riders and the people who I've met with them. So we're meeting individually with everyone. I'm trying to get a lay of the land. We are running out of time. I let people know that we've got to bond those dollars before November 1st, I think it is. So we've got to have a plan in place before we bond the dollars. So I think the plan now is to take everybody's idea, but they have to come together. Otherwise, we're going to spend that $35 million somewhere else in the state to help the people in mass transit. They're going to have to come together. And I think I mentioned that before. There's not going to be 100% agreement on what happens there, but there has to be an agreement. And right now, everybody's still sitting on their own island, and I've asked them to come together, and if I have to bring them together, I will, which is most likely going to happen, that I'll have to bring them together.
And a separate question, this morning there was a rally of sorts outside EOHHS about the Narcan shortage, and Rhode Island right now doesn't seem to have a plan to spend what seems to be about $4 million to make sure that we have enough supplies of Narcan. Do you have any information on that?
Not a lot of detail other than that I'm aware of it. I know that we've secured about 1,400 kits, I believe, in the last couple of weeks. In addition to about 2,100 of those kits in July. The work is going to continue. We see it as a high priority, and we completely agree that we have to be prepared in that area. And we have the resources to do it. We just got to make sure we find the supply.
Right. We got time for 2 more.
Governor Treasurer Magaziner this morning called for you to put in place an order for teachers and school staff to be vaccinated. What do you respond to him about that? Is that a good idea?
Well, I would respond to anybody who asked about the teachers to remind them that I was the one who stepped up and said that vaccines would go to teachers and all the workers in the schools, as well as childcare and all their workers. And right now we're at 90%. So I think that we'll see where we are in that. But 90% is a number that is a real strong number right now in the schools. People who call for mandates, they also have to realize that we've got 90% there. There's no state in the country that's 90% where we are. Our schools are going to open up safe, and we want the parents to know that. We've invested a great deal of time and resources to make sure that every district in the state of Rhode Island is prepared in both on testing, vaccination strategies. We're going to continue to do that. My focus is in Providence. As you know, I have a little to do with the Providence schools right now, and so I'm visiting all the schools. Had a meeting yesterday with leadership from RIDE and Providence schools talking about these various things. I just want the people my response is the people in Rhode Island need to know that the schools are going to be opening up safe, and the local districts and RIDE and our office are doing everything possible to get that happen.
So is that a no on teacher and school staff vaccination mandate?
So I'm not prepared to answer that question. Everything changes. Look, we have a Delta variant today. Is it going to be gone in a month? You tell me. You tell me whether it's going to be gone in a month. Is there another one coming? Is there going to be a need for masks in schools from month to month? That's all conjecture. All I can tell you is where I am, where we are right now. The schools in Rhode Island are going to open up safely, and one of the reasons that they're going to open up safely is because I moved against the tide, by the way. And there were people, and I can't remember who they were, but you might want to look up, who felt as though that I was making a mistake when I made teachers a priority at the time that I did. And good thing we did, because we're going to be able to, we closed our schools safely under the conditions that we were in, and then we're going to reopen our schools safely right now.
And then one other thing, in June, when the legislature left, we were talking about the $1 billion in federal dollars and whether you would be able to spend that, or how we would spend that. Has there been any process with the legislature, seeing how it's now September, on whether you will get to spend that or that will be spent?
So I think that's a really good question. We're prepared to start outlining ways that we can use those dollars. We intend to provide information to the General Assembly, specifically in areas that have to do with the economic recovery, which I think is critical for us at the moment. And we'll have plans to them very shortly, and then we'll see where we'll take it from there. I know that there's an interest in the General Assembly on child care, there's an interest on housing, we have the same interest. But we're going to make sure that we work with the General Assembly as we spend those dollars to the best benefit of the people in the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you, Governor. Last question.
Governor McKee, you and Lieutenant Governor Matos talked about support for Gold Star families and building that memorial in Exeter. I was wondering what other support would be available for local service members returning home after this time.
Yeah, I don't have the notes in front of me, but clearly anybody that's a veteran or an existing man or woman that's in service right now, through Director Yan, that's the place to go. He's an unbelievable resource, our Director of Veterans Affairs, including both active duty and people who are veterans. I do want to just reemphasize what Sabina said in terms of that monument. We have Veterans Day coming up, and we want to make sure that we hit those targets. The Lieutenant Governor has hit the ground running on areas that I inherited when I became Lieutenant Governor, relative to the veterans, relative to the Gold Star families, relative to the the Garden of Heroes and other things like that. That's a top priority with me as well, to be supportive of the Lieutenant Governor. So yes, it would really be very good if we're able to hit the dollar numbers by Veterans Day, and with the understanding that we would be able to have that monument in place by Memorial Day 2022, right, Governor, Lieutenant Governor? That's the That's the goal, right?
That's the goal, yes, that's right, Governor. So anyone that is interested in supporting the veterans and their families can go to the website of the Lieutenant Governor's office and go into the military initiative, and we have a link to all of that in there. And the Director Yarn is also very active with the veterans community, making sure that resources get to them. The governor, when he was Lieutenant Governor, fundraised a lot for the Military Families Fund that we just had a check presentation to them early this year. And we're working also for the Operation Cheers. So we want volunteers to join us also to make sure that we can send care packages to the military.
All right, thank you all.
And folks, so we have it. Join us tonight at 7 o'clock. A special new show has joined us over the last few months. Our good friend Meg is joining us to talk about food. At 8 o'clock, a special session with Nicholas Oliver. Or, I'm sorry, that's 9 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I've got it mixed up. We've got 3 shows tonight, 7, 8, and 9 o'clock. We'll be talking about food. We'll be talking about Southwest Asian issues like Afghanistan and Iraq, Turkey and Morocco. And, of course, we've got Nick Oliver, who will be joining us from an organization that represents home care workers. And he'll be talking specifically about his request for an extension, his request for a reinterpretation of this vaccination mandate. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. Join us. Thank you.
Sorry, Pat, had to wrap things up.